My name is Regan Wyeth, 32 years old. The snow falls in thick, cottony sheets as I guide the car along the dark Vermont switchbacks, each curve pulling me farther from Boston's open tabs and blinking notifications, farther from the chorus of pings that scored the last quarter of my life. With every mile, my shoulders loosen a fraction. 10 days, I whisper into the cabin of my car, breath fogging the air like a secret. 10 days of quiet that isn't borrowed or apologized for. The dashboard clock glows 2:17 p.m. I'm making good time despite the weather, the tires ticking off the minutes to the small mountain place I bought the year I hit 2 properties by 32. Not bad for a middle-class kid with no inheritance, unless you count the other sort of legacy, a job description written in grief and duty. The evergreens are dressed in heavy white coats that drag their branches low. I know how that weight feels. 5 years of being Tessa's older sister, caretaker, emotional shock absorber. 5 years of Christmases shrinking around her needs while mine were triaged away. This year, I chose me. When I told Tessa, she pouted like she was still 16 and I was stealing her favorite sweater. But she's 26 now. She has Derek. She doesn't need me to manage her wish list or host her friends in a room that smells like cinnamon and apology. The cabin appears around the last bend, a neat triangle against the mountainside, lamplight a warm square in the front window. For a second, my chest goes light with relief, until I register the driveway. 2 vehicles, Tessa's cherry red Jeep and a mud-splattered pickup I don't recognize. My first thought is break-in. My second is worse, emergency. Something happened. I park behind the Jeep, my pulse quickening as I reach for my phone, thumb hovering over 911. Then I hear it. Music. Not the soft jazz I left looping on the smart speaker last time, but Christmas pop turned up to party volume. Not danger. Something else. Snow swallows my boots up to the ankle as I cross to the porch, key in hand even though I know I won't need it. When I twist the knob, the door yields with a domestic sigh, and I step into a version of my living room that makes me doubt my own address. A tree dominates the corner by the fireplace. Not my restrained pine with white lights and silver ornaments, but a massive spruce dripping with multicolored baubles like a shop window after a sale. Garlands coil across every surface. Scented candles duel in the air. Cinnamon and alpine forest, creating a cloying sweetness that makes my teeth ache. People, so many people. Strangers sprawled across my furniture, laughing with their shoes, tucked under them as if they live here. A middle-aged couple claims my reading chair, the chair I saved for and carried up the stairs myself, balancing crystal wine glasses like they've always belonged. 3 20-somethings huddle at the kitchen island, mixing drinks in my grandmother's cut-glass punch bowl. And there, sun at the center, stands Tessa, blonde hair in a complicated updo, a red sweater that used to be mine. The neckline stretched a fraction from some careless hanger. Beside her, Derek laughs with a man whose jawline mirrors his own. A father, probably. The laughter dies when the door clicks shut behind me. Heads swivel, glasses pause mid-lift. The music doesn't get the memo. It keeps twinkling cheerfully through the hush. My gaze lands on the mantel, where my parents' photo should be. A framed portrait of Derek's family beams with holiday confidence. Mom and Dad have been relegated to a side table, half hidden behind a poinsettia. Oh, there's a small clean cut inside my chest, surprising not for the pain, but for its precision. "You're early," Tessa says, her voice bright with the kind of false surprise that comes with rehearsals. "I figured you'd be somewhere fancier. New York, maybe Aspen." She lifts her glass, eyes glittering in the tree lights, daring me to say the line I always say. I don't. Instead, I look, really look. Suitcases by the door, mail scattered on the entry table, Derek's jacket hanging on the hook that has always held mine. This isn't a party, it's a relocation. "It's nice you came back to our cabin," she adds lightly. Our cabin. The words find bone. They slot into an old fracture that never healed right. A memory unlatches. My 10th birthday canceled because Tessa had a cold. Nothing serious, just enough for Mom to murmur, "Protect Tessa. She's weaker than you. She needs more care." I did. I learned to carry her and everything around her. I carried it so well, I forgot it wasn't all mine. We didn't know. the woman in my reading chair says, clutching her cardigan closed like a shield. Tessa said you gave permission for the holidays. I feel the bitter bubble of a laugh rise and vanish before it reaches my mouth. Derek stares at the floor, thumb worrying the edge of his watch band. He always does that when the truth scrapes by. He knows. He has always known when she lies, and still he stands where it's warmest. I believe you, I say, and I'm surprised at how even my voice sounds, like a level placed on a table. But you have 24 hours to leave and restore the house to how it was. I turn slightly toward the room, not toward Tessa. If it's not spotless when I return, I'll call the police. Not a threat, just logistics. The temperature drops a degree. Somewhere a glass meets a tabletop too fast, a clink like a cracked tooth. Tessa's smile freezes, her wine stalled midair. This isn't our choreography. I'm supposed to lecture, escalate, combust. She's supposed to melt into contrition, then arrange herself inside my guilt like a cat in a patch of sun. I had no idea she'd... Derek starts, then falters. June, the cardigan, stands, nudging the man beside her. We should pack, Richard. She is already gathering stray scarves and phones, a politeness sharpened to urgency. The 20-somethings vanish down the hall, a flurry of whispers and zippers. No one meets my eyes except Tessa, whose disbelief moves through denial to something harder, something that looks like fear. Regan, she says, a warning disguised as a plea. Don't be dramatic. I don't answer. There is nothing to negotiate. I take in the last necessary details, the angle of Derek's father's gaze. Not guilty, merely inconvenienced. The smear of frosting on the coffee table, my table. The faint track of slush drying on the rug, my rug. On the entry table, under a scatter of flyers for charity galas, lies an envelope with the cabin's alarm code scrawled in my handwriting. A flicker of memory, last month's missed call from the security company. The voicemail I never returned about scheduling a camera fix. A small, stupid oversight in a life of carefulness. The kind of lapse that looks like permission from a distance. I close the door softly behind me. The snow is thicker now, night coming down faster in the mountains. Each step to the car feels ceremonial, a slow procession out of a role I thought was stitched to my skin. I don't look back at the window's warm square. I drive, the wipers thudding time, the heater roaring at my frozen hands, the road unwinding in tight black ribbons through white. 2 hours later, I pull under a flickering vacancy sign at a roadside motel with red doors and the smell of old coffee in the office. The room is clean in a way that suggests hard work, but not money. Floral bedspread, humming mini fridge, a window that looks out onto a parking lot scrubbed nearly to bone by the plow. I make instant coffee from the courtesy tray and sit by the window, watching snow swirl under the street lamp like ash shaken in a jar. At first, the anger runs hot, an acid wash over memories as predictable as they are painful. The canceled birthday, the emergency wire transfers that were neither emergency nor my responsibility, the way my dating life shrank to fit inside Tessa's calendar. Then the heat ebbs, leaving something quieter. Exhaustion, yes, but beneath it, a thin, insistent pulse that might be clarity. It's not about them taking my house. It's about them being so sure I wouldn't stop them. I think of a phone call from 3 weeks ago. Our hillside neighbor, Mrs. Keegan, her voice hesitant. I saw lights up there late, honey. Didn't think you were in town. I'd smiled into the receiver, already moving to a meeting. Probably the timers, I said. Thanks for keeping an eye. A red flag I folded into a paper crane and put on a shelf. Back at the window, I lift the styrofoam cup to my lips and taste the bitter, the thin. I let it sit on my tongue until the flavor becomes factual. Tomorrow, I will go back, not to argue, not to plead, but to end a pattern that has turned me into a ghost with a body. I will not be the net that catches everyone who jumps without looking. If they choose to fall, gravity can do its job. The radiator clicks like a metronome in the quiet. My phone lies face down on the nightstand, for once not a talisman or a leash. I leave it there. I lie back on the bedspread and stare at the textured ceiling that looks like a map of a country I don't live in anymore. In the silence, I hear the echo of my mother's voice the day of the funeral, the shape of the promise I made. Protect Tessa. Be strong. I kept the first part so hard I forgot the second. Strength isn't a synonym for sacrifice. It's a boundary with a backbone. I close my eyes and picture the cabin as it should be. The tree with white lights, the parents' photo centered on the mantel, the reading chair empty and waiting for a body that breathes without bracing. I don't know what tomorrow will look like, but for the first time in years, I know who I will be when I arrive. I will be the person who owns the house. I will be the person who owns her life. Outside, the snow keeps falling. Inside, the room is steady, warm enough. Morning will come either way. Morning arrives like a clean blade. I wake to the motel's baseboard heater clicking and the white noise of tires on slush beyond the thin curtain. For a minute, I forget where I am. Then the memory returns whole, a photograph dropped into a bowl of water. I dress, fold the room back to neutral, and drive before the plows finish their grid, the car's nose cutting through low drifts like a small boat in a gray sea. At the cabin road, a ribbon of cleared tracks suggests someone left recently. The sky is pewter. The trees carry last night's weight and hold it without complaint. I key the lock and push the door open, brace for the wreckage of a party's hangover, sticky rings, fallen tinsel, the soft insult of crumbs underfoot. Instead, I step into an eerily perfect stillness. The air smells like fresh pine and glass cleaner. The gaudy tree is gone. Garland's gone. No glitter on the rug. No stray ribbon hiding beneath the coffee table. The mantel holds my parents' photo again, precisely centered. The glass is so spotless, it looks like nothing at all. A wrong kind of perfect, the kind that reads like an apology made too quickly. I set my bag down and make a slow circuit. Kitchen, bedrooms, bath. The punch bowl is washed and dried, resting on the top shelf where my grandmother kept it, as if guided there by her ghost. In the bedroom, the duvet is smoothed tight enough to bounce a coin. Someone took time. Someone followed an instruction, not an impulse. On the entry table, under the flyers, a note. We left. The key is in the box. T. A fainter P.S. trails under the initial, I'm sorry. The handwriting is neat, the kind she uses for cards and applications. I don't touch the paper. I let its smallness sit next to the bigness of what happened. I make coffee, the real kind this time, and sit in my reading chair, the one I have reclaimed by simply sitting in it. The first sip burns, and I welcome the sting. It confirms I can feel without having to perform it. The silence in the house is not empty. It is full of choices. I take out my phone and open the voicemail I've ignored for months. Hi, Regan. This is Dr. Norris's office. We have a Tuesday slot open. I listen to the message 3 times, then press call. When the receptionist answers, my voice is steady. We choose a time. I put it in my calendar. I do not apologize for waiting. In my drafts folder, there is an email to Tessa titled, Just Hear Me Out, composed last winter at 1:13 a.m. after her last emergency. It is 6 paragraphs of careful rescue, a tourniquet made of words. I read it with the cool curiosity of a curator studying a relic, feeling the pull in my old muscles. Then I select all and press delete. There is a blank white space where my reflex used to be. The coffee cools. The day lifts a fraction. Pale light moving like an old bruise across the floor. I open my laptop and begin the work that will make the next crisis belong to the person who creates it. A new email to Tessa's property manager. Please proceed with the standard lease protocols regarding non-payment. Do not contact me for intervention. A call to the auto loan company. The hold music tinny as a toy piano. Cancel automatic payments effective immediately. The account holder must arrange her own. I draft formal letters, withdrawing myself as guarantor for utilities and credit lines. No rage, no revenge flourish, just the clean print of boundaries. There is a particular relief in writing effective immediately, a small bridge that burns itself. I move through the cabin with a trash bag and a soft cloth, not because it needs cleaning, but because I do. A smear on the coffee table, a fingerprint on a doorknob, a faint ring where a glass once sweated. These are small ghosts that leave when asked politely with a little pressure. In the bedroom, I stand with my hand on the wall where the smart panel lives, and remember the security company's message about fixing the bedroom camera. I call them back, schedule the technician for Thursday afternoon. It is a small thing, a tiny hinge and a big door, but when I hang up, I feel the weight of information clicking into place. Who had the code? Who changed the code? Who changed the rules of my home without asking? The answers might be annoyingly simple, but simple is not the same as harmless. By noon, the sky has switched from pewter to a tired silver. I eat toast at the counter, my grandmother's punch bowl winking back the kitchen window's light like an old friend. My phone dings. A text from an unknown number with a local tower. A photo of a white Jeep on a tow truck. Snow falling at an angle. The caption reads, "Vehicle repossession completed." I do not reply. I finish chewing. The next ding is an auto email. Rent past due, notice issued. I type 5 words to the property manager. Follow the lease, no exceptions. And hit send before the tide of a familiar nausea can rise. All afternoon I sort through the detritus Tessa has shed here. A scarf draped on a hook, 2 earrings without mates, a novel dog-eared into submission. I lay them in a cardboard box with calm hands. Each item is a small thesis on how much of my space I loaned away piece by piece, the interest compounding into resentment I called love. At 4, I pour a glass of wine I'd promised to save for a party that never happened. I stand by the fireplace and raise the glass to the photo on the mantel. To boundaries, I say, and it lands in the room like a new coat of paint. The fire snaps back, as if the house agrees. I sit and write a list titled Endings, and beneath it, bullet points that are not cruel but firm. No financial involvement. No access without permission. No last-minute rescues. I add a second list titled Beginnings. Therapy, Tuesday at 3. Ask for help before drowning. Let silence sit. Outside, the light thins to that blue that belongs to winter mountains and hospitals at shift change. My phone buzzes again, and I let it buzz, finishing a line. When I pick it up, the screen shows a text from Tessa. Not paragraphs, not the cyclone I was trained to enter. 2 lines. We left. The cabin's clean. I'm sorry. I stare at the words long enough that the phone dims. 3 sentences, all the way to a period. It is almost enough to make me type something soothing on instinct. It's okay. Or, we'll talk. Instead, I place the phone face down and set a 15-minute timer, a boundary with a stopwatch. When it chimes, I type, "Thank you for leaving the key. I'll be in touch." I reread it twice and press send. It feels like setting a fragile glass on a stable table. In the evening, I build a fire like a ritual. 2 pieces of birch, 1 of oak, a twist of newspaper. The house fills with a warmth that asks nothing of me. At the edge of the flames, my grandmother's punch bowl gleams. I think of last Christmas, when I wrapped it for Tessa with trembling hands, worrying it would break in the exchange. The truth lands gently. It did break, but not the glass. The story. Before bed, I open my closet and move the luggage to the back, the reading lamp to the front. A movement so small it would look meaningless to anyone else, but to me, it is a map. I turn off the living room lights. Only the fire remains. Then that too falls into ember, and then into ordinary dark. I wake once in the night to the silence of a house that is finally just a house. In the morning, Tuesday, I drive back to Boston for work, the roads mostly clear, the sky scrubbed into that pale winter blue that always looks like resolve. At my desk, I answer emails with the precision of a surgeon suturing clean lines. Janet leans in my doorway and squints at me. "You seem different," she says. "More here." I shrug and smile without explaining. Later, Parker forwards me a client note. Strong, focused, decisive. My cursor hovers over the word decisive, as if it were written in a language I am relearning. Each new letter a muscle firing. That afternoon, my phone vibrates on the conference table. A calendar nudge. Therapy. Dr. Norris, 3-honed quack. I breathe once, deeply. I pick up my notebook and stand. On my way out, I pass a poster in the hallway. HR's Winter Wellness Campaign. Boundaries are an act of respect. I don't laugh, though I want to. Sometimes the universe does on-the-nose monologues. In the waiting room's tan hush, I send one text to the security company. Please confirm Thursday's service window. Access code will be changed after. The reply pings back instantly. Confirmed. See you at 2 p.m. I can taste the shape of relief forming before it arrives. Not because a camera will be fixed, but because a habit is breaking. When I leave the session, 48 minutes later, the sun is already dialing down. My phone shows a missed call from Tessa and no voicemail. For once, I don't feel the silence she leaves. I walk to my car through the city's chill, breath clouding before me like a small, tame ghost. And with my hand on the door handle, I realize I'm not rehearsing a speech, not composing a rescue, not bracing for impact. The boundary is holding, not like a wall, but like a spine. That night in the cabin, as the wind combs the pines and the mountain throws its cold back at my windows, my phone lights the dark just once more. A message. 4 words this time, honest and too neat. We left, I'm sorry. I let the screen go black on its own. I turn toward the window where my reflection is only a shadow against the larger dark, and I whisper to the woman I can see just enough to recognize, so am I, and I'm not. Evening settles over Boston with the kind of cold that presses into bone. I'm home again, but the quiet doesn't sound the same. It's not emptiness anymore. It's proof of space reclaimed. The fireplace hums softly, my coffee table bare except for a single candle. For 2 weeks, Tessa's number has stayed silent. I almost start to believe that this, distance, peace, might last. Then the phone rings. Her name lights the screen, small and fragile as a heartbeat. I hesitate just long enough to feel the old pull, habit disguised as love, before answering. Regan? Her voice splinters around my name. Thank God you picked up. What's wrong? The words come automatically, rehearsed by years of repetition. Everything, she says. The sound of cupboard doors slamming punctuates her panic. Derek's mother called me lazy, said I don't contribute. Derek didn't defend me, just stood there. Then he started in too, saying I need to grow up, that I can't keep expecting people to take care of me. Her breath hitches. He brought up the cabin, said I embarrassed him in front of his family. A long pause stretches between us. I can hear the storm gathering behind her breathing. Tess, I begin, careful, deliberate. I'm sorry he said that. I just need a place to breathe, Regan. Let me stay with you for a while, just until things calm down. Her voice drops into that whisper she learned as a child, the plea that once bent our parents, then me. I glance toward the window where snow traces ghostly branches against the glass. You're 31, I say quietly. I'm not your mother. Silence crackles. What's that supposed to mean? It means I can't fix your marriage, or your life. She exhales sharply. So that's it? You're just done with me? I close my eyes. No, Tess, I'm just done being the safety net. On the other end, something crashes. You ruined everything. You think you're better than everyone, always knowing what's right. You made me this way, made me depend on you, and now you're abandoning me when I need you most. Behind her voice, I hear Derek's, low, strained. Stop, Tessa. She's not the problem. You are. The sound of drawers yanked open, the dull thud of something hitting the wall. Stay out of it, she screams, words dissolving into static. No, Derek snaps, closer to the phone now. I'm done staying out of it. Your sister's right. You're not a kid. You can't keep burning bridges and blaming her for the smoke. More noise. Shattered glass. A slammed door. The muffled thump of footsteps moving away. Then nothing. The call cuts off. I set the phone on the table and stare at it, waiting for the inevitable callback. None comes. The silence feels heavier than shouting ever did. For the first time, I don't reach for my coat or my keys. I don't draft a text offering help. I just breathe. This isn't my storm to weather. The next morning, sunlight spills through the blinds, bright and unapologetic. My first thought isn't about Tessa, it's about coffee. The shift feels seismic. I make breakfast, answer work emails, attend meetings without my phone face up on the desk. No part of me is tethered to her crisis anymore. It's terrifying and liberating at once. 3 weeks pass before the news finds me. Mark, an old friend from our hometown, calls during lunch. Did you hear? He asks. Hear what? Derek filed for divorce. He hesitates. And Tessa lost her apartment. His parents owned the property. They asked her to leave. I grip the phone tighter. Is she okay? She's staying with a friend for now, but it's messy. Real messy. Thank you for telling me, I say. I hang up and stare out the office window. Cars move below like blood cells through a vein. Ordinary life continuing. For years, I thought my job was to catch Tessa before she hit the ground. Maybe falling is the only way she'll ever learn to stand. That night, I lay in the fire in my cabin and sit on the rug with a journal I haven't opened since college. The first line I write is simple: let consequences do their work. It feels colder outside, but inside there's warmth that isn't borrowed from guilt. Over the next month, my world begins to bloom again. Work shifts from survival to purpose. Parker calls me into his office after a presentation. Your clarity's impressive, he says. The Westridge account is yours if you want it. I blink. Mine? You've earned it. Whatever's changed, keep it up. I walk out of his office with the strange realization that boundaries can create space, not just for peace, but for success. Without the constant weight of Tessa's emergencies, I have room to think, to build, to breathe. A week later, Janet from accounting leans across the table at lunch. You seem lighter, she says, like you dropped a whole person off your shoulders. I laugh softly. Maybe I did. That weekend, I meet my old college roommate, Julie, for a hike in the Berkshires. The trail smells of pine and thawing earth. At the summit, she sits beside me on a boulder, legs swinging. I worried about you, she admits. You disappeared into your sister's orbit. It was like watching someone drown and call it love. Her words hit deep, but not like a wound, like medicine. I thought that was strength, I say, taking care of everyone. And now? Now I think strength means knowing what's yours to carry. Julie smiles. Then you're finally free. Her words echo long after the hike ends. Back home, I receive an email from Tessa's old property manager. Final notice sent. No payment received. My stomach twists, but only briefly. I delete it. Actions have ripples. Mine do too. Days grow longer. Snow shrinks back into the soil. One afternoon, my phone buzzes. A message from Tessa. The first in months. Regan, I'm sorry. Please, just give me one more chance. I stare at the screen. Outside, robins dart across the patchy lawn, stitching color into the gray. I type, I'm listening. No promises, no rescue, just the open door of conversation. The following week, we meet at a small cafe, halfway between Boston and her new town. She arrives late, eyes ringed with exhaustion, fingers clenched around a chipped mug of tea. You look different, she says cautiously. I am, I answer. She traces the rim of her cup. I didn't expect you to meet me. I didn't expect you to ask, I reply. For a moment, the air between us feels balanced, something it hasn't been in years. I don't know how to start over, she whispers. You start by not pretending you can't. She looks up, eyes glossy but focused. You make it sound easy. It isn't, I say softly. It's just necessary. Outside, snow begins to fall again, light and sparse, as if the season is trying one last time to hold on before spring wins. We sit there in that fragile stillness, two people rewriting the terms of family, one breath at a time. When we stand to leave, she hugs me, a hesitant, uncertain embrace. I don't cling. I let go first. Back at the cabin that night, I open my journal again. On the next page, I write, freedom is not leaving. It's learning to stay without losing yourself. The fire crackles. My phone lies face down on the table. For the first time, I don't check if she texts again. I already know she will eventually, but it won't be to ask for saving. Maybe just to say she's still trying. And maybe that's enough. The wind outside hums through the pines. The same song it always has. But I hear it differently now. Because this time, the silence doesn't ask me to fix it. It just asks me to listen. Spring arrives like an apology written in light. The mountains shed their frost, and my cabin smells of cedar and new beginnings. I open the windows for the first time in months. Cold air rushes in, crisp with the scent of melting pine. On the mantel, Mom and Dad's photo catches the sun. A glint of glass that feels like blessing, not grief. The firewood stack outside has shrunk, but the silence inside no longer echoes. It hums. 3 months have passed since that cafe meeting, since Tessa's hug that trembled more from humility than manipulation. In those weeks, the world has rearranged itself around small, steady rituals: coffee before dawn, journal at my elbow, therapy on Tuesdays, boundaries drawn in invisible ink, but felt everywhere. I've learned that healing isn't a single, cinematic moment. It's a series of quiet decisions that accumulate until you realize the storm has stopped. This morning, Tessa sits across from me in the same cabin where everything broke. She stirs her coffee absently, eyes tracing the grain of the table. You look different, she says again, like she's still testing the truth of it. I am, I answer, smiling softly. She hesitates. I used to hate this place. I thought it was proof you'd moved on without me. I did move on, I admit, but not away. Her brow furrows. I don't understand. I didn't build this cabin to escape you, Tessa. I built it to find myself. I just forgot that one doesn't have to mean the other. The fireplace pops, a quiet metronome to our conversation. Outside, the lake glimmers in thawing patches, light flashing like signals between worlds. She exhales, long and shaky. Derek told me everything about what his mother promised him, about how they wanted to buy this place from you, make it part of their family. I nod. I figured something like that. Her voice drops to almost a whisper. I knew, too. I didn't stop them. There it is. The confession I've felt circling since that first night. The missing piece of the puzzle that made her betrayal sting deeper than the invasion itself. Why? I ask, not angry now, just curious. Because I wanted to belong somewhere, she says, eyes filling. Even if it meant pretending this was ours. I thought if I could make it look like I had everything you did, people would stop seeing me as the mess you had to clean up. Her words hang in the air, heavy and human. I remember her as a child, clutching my arm at school pickup, afraid to walk alone. Maybe she never stopped clutching. Maybe I never stopped offering my arm. I don't hate you, Tessa, I say quietly. I just can't be your solution anymore. I know, she nods, biting her lip. I don't want you to be. I got a job. It's not glamorous, front desk at a clinic, but it's mine, and I'm taking some community college classes. For a moment, pride flickers through me, bright and strange. That's good, I say. Really good. I still mess up, she adds quickly, but I'm trying not to make it your problem. That's all I ever wanted. We sit in companionable silence, two women who have spent most of their lives speaking from wounds, now learning the quieter language of healing. After she leaves that afternoon, I watch her car disappear down the mountain road, dust rising behind her like a ghost, finally leaving the body. That evening, I set the dinner table for 8, my first gathering since reclaiming the cabin. Friends from work, from the hiking group, from the version of life that isn't built on obligation. The mismatched vintage plates, the flicker of candles, the sound of laughter, it all feels earned. Lauren raises her glass midway through dessert. To Regan, she says, smiling, for reminding us that boundaries aren't walls. They're bridges you build from both sides. The others echo, glasses clinking softly. I feel my face warm, not from wine, but from recognition. Later, after the last guest leaves, I stand alone by the window. The mountains are silver under the moonlight, the air sharp with spring's promise. My cabin, once a stage for conflict, now glows like a sanctuary. I light a lavender and cedar candle, the scent Tessa used to complain about, and open my leather journal. The page catches the reflection of the firelight as I write. Love doesn't disappear when you draw a line. It simply learns where to live. My phone buzzes beside the journal. A text from Tessa. Hey, could you look over my course list when you have time? No rush. I smile, reading it twice. No crisis, no guilt, no manipulation, just respect wrapped in humility. Sure, I type back. Proud of you. The reply comes instantly. Thanks, Reg, really. I set the phone down and return to my journal. Boundaries are the shape of peace, I write. And peace, it turns out, is quieter than I imagined. The clock ticks toward midnight. I blow out the candle, and the room breathes with me, steady, unhurried. The world outside keeps moving, but tonight it feels aligned, like the universe finally exhaled with me. Tomorrow there will be work calls, deadlines, grocery lists, ordinary life. But for once, the ordinary feels extraordinary. Because it's mine. As I climb into bed, the cabin creaks softly in the wind, wood expanding with warmth after a long winter. I close my eyes, not afraid of what dreams may come. In the half-sleep between worlds, I hear my mother's voice, not as command, but as blessing. Protect her. This time I whisper back, I did. And for the first time, the answer feels complete. Outside, dawn waits patiently behind the mountains, ready to rise.